fight fans, Seattle Mike fights their friends. Everybody, please hit that like button or I will tell Dana White to ban you from all future events. Make sure you're subscribed and don't forget to double tap that notification bell so you're notified every time we drop a new video or go live like this Saturday for UFC 276. And speaking of UFC 276, guys, I'm going to brag a little bit. We've done pretty good with picks and bets lately. So listen up. First one I'm going to go through is Maycee Barber and Jessica Eye. You see Macy's coming in a minus 255. Guys, I don't like Jessica Eye in this fight at all. I don't like Jessica Eye at 6-1 odds. I really don't. And I don't normally say bet on a fighter where you have to put up $255 to win 100. But in this one, guys, if I have the cash, I'm going to put up $255 on Maycee Barber to win 100. I'm pretty confident in her. I'm definitely going to put up 100 to win, what is that, $50? A little less than $50, $40, I guess, on Maycee. I think she gets it done however she wants to for the most part, though. Whether it's decision, knockout, or submission, I think Maycee Barber can end this fight in a lot of different ways. I think Jessica Eye is at the end of her career. She's lost 3 in a row, 4 of her last 5, and you lose 4 in a row. I don't think you're in the UFC anymore. And I think she gets cut after this loss, to be honest. Uriah Hall and Andre Munoz. First, let's start out with Munoz. This guy is an absolute stud. He's been submitting some of the best guys in the game. He's got back-to-back submission wins over Ronaldo Jacare Souza. He was the guy who had that scary arm break against Souza. Did it again in his last match. Submitted Eric Anders with a nasty, nasty armbar. This guy's 22-4 as a professional. He's won 8 in a row. He's got a hot hand, guys, and he's a minus 285 favorite coming in against Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall, we've been watching him for a long time since those highlight reel knockouts on The Ultimate Fighter. Then he was a little bit of a disappointment in the UFC at times. Had some up and downs. He lost his last fight to Strickland. Before that, it looked like he was having a resurgence, though. 4 wins in a row, and Uriah Hall was looking good. There's no shame in losing to Strickland. He went the whole 5 rounds. The distance, he has not been super active, though. That is one thing I will say about Hall is I think he's got 5-6 fights since like 2016. Not very active. I think Andre gets it done. I think he gets it done by submission. Personally, though, I'm going to stay away from the odds on this one. I'm going to stay away from betting on this one because Uriah Hall has a heavy hand, and his only way to win this fight is probably by knockout. I mentioned Andre Munoz is 22-4. All 4 of the fights that he has lost have been by knockout. The last one was in 2016. The one before that was in 2013. So it has been a very long time. I expect Munoz to get down to business. I expect him to be bigger and stronger than Uriah Hall. I expect him to submit him in the first round. Just for me, though, those odds are a little too thick. Just because, like I said, Munoz, he's been knocked out 4 times. And, Uriah Hall, he's known to knock some people out. That is the early prelims on a very deep card. Let's go into the prelims where we got Donald Cerrone and Jim Miller. Both of these guys have over 50 fights apiece. Jim Miller, 51 fights, 1 no contest. Donald Cerrone, 54 fights, 2 no contests. Jim Miller on a 2-fight win streak. Guys, I love Donald Cerrone. I really do. I like watching this guy. He's fun to watch fight. Guys, he has not done well as of lately. I know he's a late notice replacement for this one. I don't expect that to be a big deal because he was already in 2 training camps hoping to get a fight done. That, of course, kept falling out with Joe Lozon. Fell out twice. I don't expect that to be the Achilles heel when it comes down to Donald Cerrone. But what I do expect the Achilles heel to be is he's only a year older than Jim Miller, but he's 39 years old. And guys, he has not looked good for a while. Back to the Tony Ferguson fight. Donald Cerrone's lost 6 fights in a row. His last win was against Ally Aquinta in 2019. Of course, he's a very active guy, but 6 losses in a row. He's been not as active as he usually is. Plus, I think he's been distracted by this movie he just finished because he's only human. For that case, I take Jim Miller to get this done by unanimous decision, possibly even a submission. All right, guys, next fight. Exciting highlight reel. Ian Gary, former Cage Warriors world champion. He's 9-0, and you notice the odds, not near as big in this one. Not near as near in his favor against Gabriel Green. And people seeing that, hey, Ian Gary, he makes some mistakes. He can be a bit sloppy at times. I think he was still getting over the UFC jitters a little bit. Personally, I'm not saying he can't lose this fight. Gabriel Green is 11-3. And Gabriel, the gifted Green, he's 2-1 in the UFC. His only loss was to Daniel Rodriguez, which he went the distance on, which worries me a little bit for Gary, to be honest. He's won 2 in a row, knocked out Johan Linus in his last fight, 4:02 of the second round. Gabriel Green, he has been finished, though, in all of his fights. 2 knockouts, 1 submission. If I'm going to pull the trigger on this fight, I got to take the undefeated Ian Gary minus 175 to win 100. Not a strong endorsement, but if I have to bet between those two guys, I do like Ian Gary over Gabriel Green. Up next, guys, Brad Riddle and Jalen Turner. This is the main fight for the prelims. It is a freaking barn burner. Man, you guys know Jalen Turner is a friend of the show. He's been on the channel. I got to throw that out there. He is coming in a slight favorite. But guys, this guy, he has looked so good as of lately. He's got a tough opponent, Brad Riddle. I'm not gonna lie. Brad Riddle, 10-2. He did lose his last fight to Rafael Fiziev, who's an absolute stud. Got caught with a spinning wheel kick, 2:20 of the third round. Before that, though, he had beaten Drew Dober. He'd won 7 in a row, including 4 in the UFC. This is not going to be an easy fight for Jalen Turner at lightweight. That being said, Jalen, he's tall. He's got incredible reach. It's amazing that he makes lightweight. And since losing a decision in 2019, April of 19, over 3 years ago to Matt Frevola, he's won 4 in a row, and he's finished them all. 2 by knockout, 2 by submission. Guys, I'm very high on Jalen Turner, and I'm high on him for this fight. I feel that's a great value at minus 135. I am taking the tarantula. I am putting my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to bet on Jalen Turner. Let's go to the main card. Sean O'Malley and Pedro Munoz. Sean O'Malley, of course, just the one loss ever. Pedro Munoz coming off that loss to Dominic Cruz, where I thought Dominic was in trouble. Pedro hit him. He rocked him. Pedro was about to finish the fight. We're going to see Sean O'Malley get hit, and we may see him get hit like we've never seen him get hit. Pedro Munoz, he is a tough character. He's very durable. He's never been finished. Pedro Munoz has never been finished. He's lost, quite a few decisions. He lost that last one to Dominic Cruz. But he's never been finished. Sean O'Malley, we don't know how durable he is once he gets to a certain point. 5 knockouts and 8 submissions for Pedro Munoz. He is just 6-7 when it goes the distance, though. He's coming off. He's lost 3 of his last 4. He's actually lost 4 of his last 5. But this is very deceptive. His one lone win is over Jimmy Rivera. But guys, he lost to the current champion, Aljamain Sterling. In August of 2020, he lost a split decision that I thought he probably won against Frankie Edgar. Then he wins the Rivera fight. His last 2 fights, he's lost by decision, Jose Aldo and Dominic Cruz. I am going to take Sean in this fight. I think Sean's quicker. I think he's younger. He's got better reflexes. I think he's a better fighter. Don't be surprised if Pedro Munoz cracks him a few times, though, and takes advantage of it, the durability issues that Sean O'Malley has had in the past. I am taking Sean O'Malley in this fight, but again, tentatively, I'm not putting down $295 to win 100. To be honest, if I was going to bet this fight, I'd put a few bucks on Pedro Munoz. Not an endorsement, but that's just where I would put my money. A barn burner coming up next, the second fight of the main card. Bryan Barberena and Robbie Lawler, 2 guys that are never, ever in a boring fight. Bryan Barberena absolutely brings it. He was just in an all-out war with Matt Brown, who is even older than Robbie Lawler. He's up in his 40s. Barberena is young. He's only 33. He has won 2 in a row. Before that, he got a unanimous decision over Darian Weeks. He's been a bit chinny, though. He's been knocked out twice. He's been submitted once in just 25 fights. He does have 10 knockouts, but he is a guy that likes to trade. He likes to trade a lot. Robbie Lawler, of course, former UFC welterweight champion, former Strikeforce champion, coming off of that victory to the long-retired Nick Diaz. A lot of people talked about how he looked very good. I'm not going to put a lot of stock in that just because I thought Nick Diaz looked horrible. I know a lot of people are going to hate me for that, but he looked slow. He didn't look like he was ready to fight. And I thought that victory was oversold. Before that, Robbie had lost 4 in a row in 5 of his last 6 with his only victory against Donald Cerrone way back in 2017. He lost to RDA Ben Askren, which, of course, was, there was a mistake on Herb Dean's part during that fight. But then he loses to Colby Covington. He loses to Neil Magny. Wasn't really, in my mind, technically finished in any of those fights, though. You just had the mistake fight against Ben Askren. Then I'll talk about Robbie Lawler, though. I feel he is a guy who runs on emotion. I think he hits very, very hard. I know he hits very hard. He's got 21 knockouts and 29 wins. I have Robbie Lawler winning this. I have it winning it by knockout. I really, really like him. at minus 120. Brian Barberena is one of the most hittable guys in the history of the welterweight division, and you can only take so many hits from Robbie Lawler. Minus 120, but I would even look at Robbie Lawler by knockout, and I'm definitely going to be putting some money on him. Alex Pereira and Sean Strickland in this magical 3 spot. Guys, what a fight. What a matchup. Dana White said if Alex Pereira gets the win on this, that a fight against Izzy makes sense. Of course, Izzy is going to have to get past Jared Cannonier on this night to do that. We're going to break down that fight here in just a little while. But Alex Pereira, he is 5-1 as a professional. Lost his first fight. For those that don't know, he got submitted in Jungle Fight, his first fight. Ever since then, he's won every fight. Only went to decision once, which was his last fight against Bruno Silva, which Bruno Silva is an animal. They went back and forth. I think Alex definitely won the fight, but it was a really good learning fight for him. It was a good step up. This is just going to be his 3rd fight in the UFC. Knocked out Thomas Powell over an LFA in the first round before coming into the UFC. Guys, Sean Strickland, no matter what you think about him personally, he is a nasty, nasty fighter. He knows how to win, and he's going to come in with a game plan that wins. A lot of people were upset with him after his victory against Jack Hermanson. He's also went to decision his last 3 fights. He's fighting smart, though. He beat Krzysztof Jotko, then Uriah Hall, then Jack Hermanson. Both his last 2 fights were 5-rounders. The cardio is incredible there. I thought Alex's cardio was tested a little bit in his last fight against Bruno. He did pretty good on the other end of it, but I definitely give Strickland a big favor. A big up in favor of cardio. Guys, I got to take Sean Strickland by unanimous decision. Again, I'm confident enough to put money down too. Alex Pereira, he's got 6 fights overall in MMA, just 2 in the UFC. I know he's a spectacular striker. I think an overall mixed martial artist like Sean Strickland, though, is going to know what to do with that. And I think the Alex Pereira party comes to an end, or at least gets a detour tonight. And I think Sean Strickland at minus 110 is an absolute steal. All right, getting into the co-main event. Not only is it a rematch, guys, it's a trilogy. Alexander Volkanovski won the first fight, and I thought he won it very convincingly. He was given the decision on the last fight. I feel like most people, including myself, felt that Max won that fight, even though Alex did come on late. Alexander Volkanovski coming in a minus 190 favorite in this. Max, a bit of a value bet at plus 160. Guys, personally, I'm not touching this fight with a 10-foot pole. If it were straight up odds and I had to bet on someone, Volkanovski, I know, is very determined. He said he wants to send a statement with this fight. But you think Max doesn't want his belt back? Max, one of the greatest featherweights of all time, him and Jose Aldo. Guys, this is going to be a barn burner. If I have to pick a win, I say Volkanovski by a split, by a slim decision once again. I know people don't want to see that, but Max could definitely end up winning it this time as well. That brings us to the main event, guys. Jared Cannonier and Israel Adesanya. Adesanya, since coming to the UFC, of course, middleweight champion. He's walked through a lot of really good fighters. His only loss was when he went up to 205 against Jan Blachowicz. And I think, I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but I think it was pretty obvious during that fight that Jan was just too big for him and that Israel is not a light heavyweight. He's just not. Jared Cannonier coming into this one. Guys, he's won 5 of his last 6. He's won 2 in a row. Just finished Derek Brunson, who was on a big win streak himself. Beat Kelvin Gastelum in the fight before that. His one loss was a decision against Robert Whittaker. No shame in that. Guys, I want to be honest, though. I just don't feel like Jared is on Israel's level. And, you know, it's a bit sad for Jared, in my opinion. He's 38 years old. He's not going to get another shot at the championship. Most likely, he's a plus 330, though. I think those odds are where they should be. And I think they could probably be even bigger. I'm taking Israel Adesanya. Big time, guys. Big time. Out of 5 losses, Jared Cannonier has been knocked out twice. One of them by Dominic Reyes when he was over there light heavyweight. Guys, I think it happens again. I think Izzy gets it done inside of 5. I think he lights up Jared Cannonier like a California wildfire. He's going to be too fast, too sharp. Israel Adesanya, big by 3rd round knockout over Jared Cannonier. Guys, I want to know what you think, though. I broke down the card for UFC 276. I want to know what your guys' opinions are, though. Do you agree with my picks? Do you disagree? Are you betting on any of the fights? Let me know, guys. As always, I love you. I respect you. And I'll see your fine asses Saturday for UFC 276.